process than I was last week, just simply because I've had kind of a lot going on. But I do think I've decided to go ahead and try to do the podcast versus the YouTube. I really liked her, and like she just gave me a whole new thought process about how I could make that work. And I like the idea of a podcast better than being on camera all the time. Like, I mean, you guys see this, like the first time I've done my hair in 800 years. So like,
you're beautiful today and
every day. I don't want to, thank you. But I'm exhausted. I don't have the time to get all fixed up to be on camera. So I like that idea. But really my questions were going to be like the best way to promote it. And you've already said you're going to go over that already. So I do have one question about the group, the mentor group with all the old recordings. Are you going to leave that up for a little while? Like if we get stuck and we can kind of go back and rewatch, or
so I'm so in YouTube I have like a playlist for you guys. Those will stay there forever. I'm really not planning on them going anywhere.
Okay.
And so yeah, they're there for y'all to keep forever. And the group, I'm not really going to delete the group either, but there's only a few of us, and so we'll figure something out with that. But yeah, you guys still will have access to all of our
paper cutter system, aren't we?
Okay.
And this question comes up so frequently, like, how do you manage paper in your home? And so today I want to show you the full system, like everything. The piece of paper comes into our home, it goes into one of these 4 places. But also there's,
do we know where that's coming from?
Pieces that we've added into our paper system as well that has made a
it was me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what that was.
I was like, maybe I have a window open somewhere.
I was like, Marina's on mute, so I don't think it's her, but I also can't see her, so I don't know. So okay, anyway.
I was still like, wait, what was that? Did I do that?
Paper for.
It's totally fine. Okay. Okay. So Amanda, with your podcast, here's what I recommend. The best way to start building your authority and also selling your thing is through a podcast. If I could go back to my podcast and redo it, which, like I said, like thankful for the growth, thankful for the learning, but I did not actually pitch anything until almost like 18 months to 2 years into my podcast. So that's like, I don't know, 60, 70 something episodes that I have, like, there's nothing. It's just like free information. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much, which is fine because I mean, it is what it is. But if people are going all the way back to and listening to the beginning and then going all the way to recent, it's going to be a long time before they even know I have anything to sell or to help them. And again, when we start talking about selling, I know we're all like, oh my gosh, it took me 3 years of consistent coaching over and over and over to hear it, for people to be like, your selling is actually serving. Like now that I know what I sell, like every single thing I have is quality. Like I put my heart and soul into it. I no longer feel bad for like promoting the Blueprint program. Like I don't, because I know like that's been a game changer for so many people. Anyway, all that being said is I would start your podcast literally as soon as possible. When I say that though, I don't mean like, let's wake up tomorrow and like publish an episode. What I mean is let's start mapping out, well, what does my first 8 episodes look like? Cool. So let's start, figuring out what you want to say. Your first episode is so easy, you guys. And this is for everybody that wants a podcast. It's literally, you want to keep it like 10 minutes or less for your first episode and just give them insight. Why did you create the podcast? Who is it for? And like a little tiny bit about your journey into the thing you're teaching, right? So like Amanda, take us back to when you were like, I started a newborn photography. I knew it was for me. Here's kind of a little bit of my journey, blah, 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 done, right? And then episode 2, 3, and 4 is when you're going to start introducing, like, here are those pillars that Stephanie was talking about in the podcasting training, one from each bucket. And then after that, you pick whatever you want to say. So I would start getting them geared up for, hey, I'm your go-to for when you need this, or I'm your go-to to help you build a newborn photography business that blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, if y'all take Stephanie's podcast course, she goes in so much more detail over like, here's how to build it, here's your tools. Brittany was like, she signed up literally like right after that call, and on my email, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. And then Jayla said,
I
Go
was
ahead.
planning on doing it, but I was just trying to like wait until I had the funds, which I do now, but
yeah,
then I was going to ask, because I know Brittany signed up, and I was going to ask her like what she thought about it so far.
I haven't even gotten to sit down and look at it yet. Right now I'm working on my calendar of life because I've taken on too many things, and so I have to learn to manage it a little better. So I'm going to work in educational time for myself in the week, and then I can let you know.
There
Okay.
you go. I love it. I will tell you, they're very so like when you get in there, because I have it too, obviously, but when you get in there, they're very tangible. She has it so broken down and so organized to where if you're like, okay, this one thing is on my mind, like, yes, you want to do it in order, but at the same time, there's certain things where if you're like, I really just want to know, like, what tools do I need? You could pop in there as soon as you have the course and go see what she recommends and order it. And then once you have everything and you're ready to go back in and start following step by step. It's the selling and the monetizing that I'm jumping way ahead because I want you to go into it knowing like exactly what your end result is. Podcasting is fun. Podcasting still work, not as much work as maybe YouTube is, but you want to start leading them to their solution as soon as you possibly can. And that's out of service for them. And yeah, so anyway, so there's that. So a lot of your promotion is in your podcast. So y'all keep that in mind. And you don't have to have some fancy ad. It literally could be like, whatever your topic is for the episode, you could do it before the episode or after the episode. If you found this episode helpful, I want to invite you to check out my blah, blah, blah course. In this course, here's my promise. Here's what you'll get. Find out more information, insert your website link. That's it. I mean, it's that simple to where, and I will tell you, I convert more listening to someone's voice while I'm like decluttering my house, folding my laundry. And I'm like, wow, 3 episodes in and I want to buy what you have. And that's what I love about podcasting. It's just an intimacy that you're not going to get anywhere else. I mean, you could post 500 social media posts and I don't hear your voice. I don't see your face. I really like, it doesn't do me the way podcasts do. And so anyway, all that being said, that's why it works. So that's where a lot of your promotion is going to come in. And then when you guys have your podcast and the promotions in there, then it's going to make your marketing so much easier because then you're not marketing your course. You're sending people to your podcast. You see like how that is like so much easier. That's the funnel. Jayla said she had a lot of questions about funnels. I'm hoping she'll get to pop her face in here before she has her session. But if not, I'll try to answer questions for y'all. But anyway, okay. We beat that horse to death, or we beat that dead horse, whatever that saying is. We did that. So anyway, start your podcast is basically what I'm telling you. Start outlining it, start getting that together, so that when your course is completed and it literally is ready for its first buyer, you can start talking about it on your podcast.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right, what else? Anything else that's just lingering?
Not really. I honestly can't think of anything. You've been like really thorough, so I honestly can't think of anything. You have. I mean,
that makes me feel good because I'm over here like, I really hope they found value out of this because I've never done the whole group coaching, and you know what I'm saying? I've never really done that before. So I'm hoping y'all found something you needed during all this time.
I would have never known where to start with it. You know, this is something I've had, not the podcast necessarily, because you got me hooked on your podcast and I didn't even know about podcasts until that point. And then I was like, I like this because I can clean my house and I can do dishes and take care of my kids and I can still listen to things, you know. But I've been thinking about courses for 3-4 years, maybe longer than that. And what stopped me was, where in the hell do you start? You know, like I had no idea, like none. I know what I need to do, but I didn't know how to like put it all together. So this helps a lot.
Good. So tell me, where are you at right now in your course creation? Where are we at?
I'm still kind of setting out, like redoing my outline, like tweaking it so that it's a little more perfect, because there for a while it was pretty rough looking. just, and I've started writing some of the actual like things that I'm going to put inside of the PDF. I've almost got that complete. I still need to find somebody to film it. I have not been able to find that yet, but like I said, I've been a little bit busy. I'm supposed to go to the doctor today, and hopefully I'll get good results and my brain can kind of calm down, because I'm a little on edge at the moment.
Yeah,
So,
well, we can definitely pray for good results for you. And then yes, and I know like when you have that stress sitting, it makes it really hard to want to do anything else. Something that might help you is once you do get good results, once you get past a little bit of your full plate, I would start setting a due date for each thing. So like I want my outline complete. And so I can start outlining each video and start making due dates for yourself. Because that's the best way to do it. So, she froze. Am I froze? Is she
No, you're not froze. It's just her.
It's just her. Okay. Sorry, Amanda. There she is. Okay. Sorry, you froze with your eyes closed like this.
always.
Always in the
I
worst
love it.
moment.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, I know. Facebook hates me. It's always like. So anyway, all right. We will scoot over to Brittany and see what questions you have and where you're at in your offer creation.
So we filmed it last week. It was really funny because it was his first time filming an education. He does like product stuff. And so we both went in and we're like, so how are we going to do this? I had all my information written down, but the model was another photographer. And I was like, how would you want to learn this? She goes, I want to see you doing it. And then maybe like you voice over at like explain it, like all that. And so like, okay, that's what we're going to do. And then for my intro and outro, he made me sit down and talk to the camera, and it was atrocious. I was like, let's start that again. Let's do this again. So then I went home that night and I was able to get my little podcast mic and do the voiceover work. And that was a lot better. It made me feel more comfortable about potentially doing a podcast, because that part was easy. The part where you're talking to the camera is really hard. And so that kind of really pushed me to the podcast. How I was like, I can do this. So we got that. So my part's done. He's working on it. And then when I get it back, I guess the rest of it can kind of fall into place. It's exciting. I had a free copywriter on call day. So I was able to get my email workflow done with it. And she had some really fabulous ideas. And then she helped me with my sales page. So I don't know what's next, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're almost in the the tech side, like let's actually get this baby all wrapped up in a nice pretty bow. Then you'll be in the phase where you're like, okay, now we got to get a launch plan in place, right? Like, how are we actually going to talk about this thing, promote it? You obviously heard what I said to Amanda about the podcast. The sooner you start your podcast, your authority, people are going to find you and people are going to want what you sell. And again, it's not an overnight thing, but I really do think that podcasting is probably the number one way right now. Social media, just y'all, it has its issues. It has its thing. I think we're all over it. I mean, we really are. And I feel like we would all just like shut off social media tomorrow. Sometimes I wish it would die. And the other times I'm like, no, because then I would lose all my contacts with y'all. And then that would suck really bad. So anyway, there's pros and cons, but
no, I'm on your email list, so we're fine.
Yay. I am actually that's actually where my focus is right now, is on my email list. So it's funny that you say that. Like, we're really going hardcore. I would rather I'm thinking about doing something. I feel like we always get on a Brooke tangent. I'm really sorry, but I'm thinking about sending 3 emails a week. I know it sounds like a lot, but like what you would see on social media, those posts that you're like, oh my gosh, I loved that, I needed that. I'm thinking about delivering those via email, like straight to someone's inbox. And here's the cool thing. You get to choose whether you open it or not, whether you want to read it or not. And then I just feel like it would sit better and it would go further for the people that really needed it. You know what I mean? And so I really am over social media right now, like for everything, even my personal page. It's just like, I don't want to be there. So anyway, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother side tangent. But Brittany, I know you have a Facebook group, and we talked about Facebook groups a couple weeks ago. You could use your Facebook group as well, obviously, but again, a lot of your promotion you're going to want to push to that long form piece of content, which is going to be that podcast, the YouTube channel, whatever you guys decided, because that's really where you build authority. Anybody can have Facebook. Not everybody can do a podcast or a YouTube channel and stay consistent with it, and I've seen it time and time again. So that's really why I'm so glad that y'all were like, Steph changed my mind, like I'm ready, like send me my microphone. I mean, so anyway, all that being said, it really is awesome. So what do you have any specific questions for me before I go off on another side rant that doesn't belong here?
No, I don't think so. I think the rest of it's just kind of like action, like putting my, like a plan in place and then actually like doing it. I want to listen to or start watching the course that Steph sent that I signed up for. That way I can maybe figure out the podcast stuff a little bit better.
Oh, you will. You'll be solid after that course, I promise. Because she teaches you. So here's one cool thing too about that course that she didn't talk about, but I will tell you real quickly. She teaches you how to like launch your podcast to basically hit the charts the week that you launch. Like she teaches you how to get reviews quickly, how to run a giveaway that gets you a lot of like downloads quickly. And it helps you like become new and noteworthy or whatever. And so like she teaches you a little launch plan, which I think is so cool. And that is not something I ever got to do with my podcast because I literally like just DIY'd mine. Her course is what I wish existed when I did launch my podcast. Because it works. It seems to work for everybody. And I'm like, man, that must be nice. So all you hear is like,
you did all the hard work.
But it's fine. I mean, I climbed my way to the top very slowly, but we finally got there. So it was worth it. But just the way that she teaches that little launch piece is so helpful. So like she's got you in PPU. I wouldn't even worry about it.
Well, I'm really grateful for her and for you because I really want to figure out, or not necessarily figure out, but I really want to start putting God first in my business and in my life. And, he spoke to me the other day and he said, lean into me, put it on me. And then your blessings are going to start coming, but it's not going to be how you look. And I was like, that's scary, but okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
So you guys are very well timed for my life right now. So I appreciate you. And Steph.
She was that for me, like huge. Like she was that for me because it's so weird because like even looking back at myself just even 2 years ago is so vastly different. My marriage 2 years ago was vastly different. My motherhood was vastly different. And by no means are we like perfect or anything like that. But I remember even almost kind of judging stuff a little bit in the past, being like, I don't understand. Like, I truly don't think that's an option for me. Like, I don't know how to be hands off and like put God first in my business. And the more I pressed in and the more I let go, I mean, you guys are talking about the biggest perfectionist over, like I was a workaholic. I did nothing but this. Like, I just sat in front of the computer all the time thinking that the more I worked, the more hours I put in, the better my business was. And really that's like not true. So anyway, just want you to know she was that for me. She has absolutely changed my life, and she is someone that I absolutely would get in her shadow and follow her for the rest of my life. And so the more I do that, the more, and you guys already know, like I am infusing way more faith. I'm being way more open about that. And I really think I'm ready to niche down to like Christian photographers, because for a long time, I can teach you marketing all day long, but the one piece that actually makes the most difference for me, like the thing that impacts my business and my life the most really is my faith. And when I put God on the back burner, you'll see my business dip. And when we're good and when I'm not trying to do things for myself and do all the heavy lifting, you'll notice that my business spikes. And I don't think that's a coincidence. And so anyway, it's just really hard to teach people that without being super vulnerable about it too. And so I saw one of our blueprint students was like, so are you really about to infuse all of religion throughout every episode that you have? And I was like, and I'm gonna have to get comfortable with this comment because I guess, yeah, like I not every single episode, but I've never shied away from it. And so anyway, all that to say, Steph will change your life too. And really anybody that she brings into her community, they're all the same. It's just so cool to see, like, there's so many women who actually do want to put God first in their business, and you can have both. You can have it all. Like, it's really cool. So anyway.
It's just really scary because, I've started so many years without, like, I just kept it really personal. And so I'm like, I can't do that anymore. And it's just scary to think that there's going to be some people who don't agree with me. And that's, I think, the part that's really scary. It's like,
that's the people pleaser in me too. Yeah. And you will, like, it's hard. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's like a gut punch every single time that it happens, but I literally have to switch my brain off and be like, okay, but like, let's think back to the 15 messages you got when you released that one episode of praying for people's businesses versus the one person who's like, I'm not going to listen to your podcast anymore. Okay, bye. And so you'll just have to get used to whatever you infuse. And that's actually one of the podcasts that has been topics that has been recommended was like, okay, but how do I do this without pushing it on people? How do I do this from a practical sense? And so all those episodes are coming in like June and July. So anyway,
great. Can't wait to hear them.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift over to Marina. I feel like she's been the quiet kid in the corner this whole time.
I just want to say, first of all, like, everything that you guys are saying is literally like speaking directly into where I am in life right now. And I'm trying not to cry, which is why I'm so quiet.
That's fine. That's fine. I heard the other day, oh no, I know what it was. I was listening to Sadie Robertson. What is her name? Y'all know who I'm talking about?
No.
The cute little Duck Dynasty girl who now like preaches the word. Oh. No, yes, we're good. Okay. Anyway, I was listening. She has, Brittany, if you haven't ever listened to her, you should go search on YouTube for her like sermons and stuff. She was preaching at a conference and oh my gosh, that in and of itself was like amazing. And I'm like, yes, like that is the message. Well, right after that, I'm going to say a word. I don't want to scare anybody, but she kind of like got prophesied over a little bit and basically was, she was talking about her journey and how God told her she would preach to her generation. And she was like, me, like I've made too many mistakes. There's no way, pick somebody else, which every Bible character ever said the same thing.
Pick somebody else.
Pick somebody else. I'm good. And then she's doing that very thing. But the lady, Jenny Allen, came on stage after Sadie, and she literally like said, this is a time where God is shaking our generation Z and like all this stuff, basically saying like he's awakening, shaking you so that you'll start putting him first, because that's really what matters. I mean, in this crazy world, that's all we have. Like, that's what my Instagram story was about the other day. That's all you have. I don't have a magic pill. I don't have a marketing strategy that is going to cover your business and bring in 1,000 leads. Like, it truly is like, you have to get yourself right at the center of it all. And if you don't, I can't help you. Like, you know what I mean? And so anyway, all that being said, Marina, I feel like there's a lot of women, how you feel right now, like we are all being triggered in that way because that's how we were created to be. And yeah, so anyway, y'all should listen to all her sermons because they're really good. I try not to watch too much TV anymore and like do something else. So anyway. Okay, sorry, back to your business though. How's everything else going? Oh no. Oh no. Not today. Not today, Satan.
More just because I feel like my photography business in general I've realized that I have to shift a lot of things. Just where like our family life is right now and like just in general like life, I was like, hang on, like something's got to give, like something has to change a little bit. So I've been making changes in my like just photography business. So I put pause on the mentorship thing so far, like, really like putting together the outlining everything, all that. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out how to, I guess, like juggle it all, and like, I think part of me was like, there's no way that I can do this and still keep my like sanity. But that's what I'm saying. Like everything that you guys have been saying, it's like, it just keeps reminding me of what I know that the Lord is speaking into my life for this specific season of like, just keep pressing into me. Like you can't say I'm too busy for that because everything else just falls apart without him. So that's kind of what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and maybe this is something that we can talk on like our one-to-one, but like I'm trying to figure out how that's going to fit in, because part of me is starting to see if continuing full-time photography is even feasible for me right now.
Can I ask
or
you
what full-time means.
Can I ask you a question? Okay, so is it just because like your kids are getting, how many kids do you have?
I just have one.
Okay.
But I think that's where it's hard.
Yeah, because he's getting older and he's going to get busier and things like that. And so I'm just going to tell you from my perspective, the reason why I decided to do it as a course like this, it's a lot of work up front, but hopefully it's going to be more of a passive income for me. And that's exactly why I was doing it, because I have 3 kids and they're all in sports. Well, no, the 2 of them are in sports, they're in school and they're really busy. And so that's what I'm going to newborns during the day. And then also trying to do a passive income for that exact reason, just because I'm like, I need to make money, but at the same time, like, I don't have time I like the one-on-one idea, but I just don't have time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just put like in your head just for my own personal
for
reason.
sure. Yeah. And I feel like that's initially it's been forever, but like when I first had that kind of thought of like, eventually I want to do education, that was my thought, was kind of like an online course where I can do it once, do all the work up front, and then like it's just passive income. So I don't know, like part of me is thinking, yes, maybe that's in the future. At the same time, I'm thinking I would really like to do the podcast. I actually really like social media. So like, I do like it. And I feel like I've gotten to a point where I've found most days I have found an okay balance between like doing it, I do it for a certain amount of time and then I'm good, like I enjoy making the reels. I enjoy like the interactions and the relationships that I've built with people on there. So I don't want to necessarily completely let that go, but I also don't want it to be everything, because obviously like it's not everything. And I know that one day it can just like completely fall apart. So that's where I feel like the podcast would be good. The one-on-one mentorships would be good. I feel like I'm just trying to figure out how many I can actually do. And honestly, the biggest part is me thinking, okay, like if everything that I've talked about doing with this one-on-one mentorship has been, okay, let's get you to be a full-time photographer, but I myself don't want to be a full-time photographer anymore, maybe potentially, or like full-time is going to look different. That's what I'm struggling with, because I'm trying to figure out how to not figure out, but like I'm at a point where I'm like, my husband, and I've talked to you, Brooke, about this. My husband can basically, I don't have to work anymore. Like we're at a spot where I don't have to support our family necessarily anymore because he's gotten established in his career. So I'm like, I can kind of just do it for fun now, which is nice, but I don't want to just completely let it die, because 1, I enjoy it. I love it. But 2, I don't want to just bank on the fact that his job is doing good right now. And what happens if it doesn't next year? So trying to figure out how to continue some sort of form of full-time. And then how does that look if I'm trying to teach people to get full-time, but I'm not necessarily full-time?
Okay.
That was long. Sorry.
I love this question. No, you're good. Whenever you and I have our one-on-one coaching call after this, not right after this, but you know what I mean? When we have that call, we will really dig. I have a lot of questions for you that I think will really help you kind of figure it out. But what I want to dive into now is, what if we take the full-time away? Like that's no longer in our vocabulary, and we call it sustainable income or a profitable photography business, because that literally could mean that's something different to Amanda. That's something different to Brittany. That's something different to Marina. If you're like, hey, I just want to do this for fun and I literally just want to make $1,000 a month, that's so different compared to someone that's like, well, profitable business to me means like I want to make $7,000 a month. Okay, so either way, we're all talking about profitable business. But then and the other thing for you is like, I really want to, start with like one-on-ones, which I totally think you can do. And we'll work your whole schedule out when we speak. But I think what you could do is, instead of your promise being full-time, it's just, let me teach you how to have a profitable business, one where you're not just like having to reinvest all your money over and over and over again, or have nothing to show for it. You could use language like that, because a lot of the photographers that want your help can make enough, but they're ready for like, they maybe want to double it, or maybe they're making 500 all by themselves in profit, but they want to make 1,000, right? And so I think like just taking the pressure of full-time. You don't have to be a full-time photographer. Just, are you profitable, right? Like that's the goal. And even this is something I struggle with. The reason I use full-time is because one of the things that I really am good at teaching people to do, and I've done it like almost hundreds of times now, is teaching photographers how to make an exit plan, leave their job, and let this be their full-time thing. Like that's one of the things I really do speak to. But and your person and all these things I've heard is they just want to be profitable. They just, maybe they just want to save enough to cover their $10,000 vacation in the next 2 years. Okay. And so I think that'll take a lot of pressure off of you just by eliminating full-time and turning it into profitable business. How does that sound? Is that better?
Yeah, no, definitely. Cause my full-time right now is way less sessions than I was doing before, but I'm making more. So it's like, yeah, I feel like it's just the terminology that we just needed to change.
When
For sure.
I have clients who are like, so you do this full time? I'm like, what do you mean by that? Because sometimes I only work 10 hours a week. So like, is that full time to you? Like, but I am making a sizable chunk of money to put towards my family, if that's what you're asking. So I hate when people ask me that full time question, because I'm like, what do you mean? Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel I was thinking back before having kids or our son, I was kind of like, I would see other photographers that were moms and that would say they were doing full time. And I was like, okay, like, how can you be full time and be a mom? And I'm like telling you guys that like, this is like the ugliest part of me, right? Like, I feel so bad now for thinking that, because I'm like, I mean, you can do it. It just looks different. And it's like what you were saying, Brittany, like it's full time. Like, what does that mean? Like, it doesn't really mean 40 hours a week necessarily for some people, but it doesn't mean that you're not making full-time income or enough to sustain your family. Because that's what I've been doing for the past at least 5 years since we got married. We've just been living off of our income because my husband was in school, and then like trying to figure out different job opportunities that didn't pan out or didn't work as well. And now it's been, I think, like 1 to 2 years where it's like, okay, like this is actually solid, we're good. And I'm like, okay, I can like kind of let that go a little bit, like at least the pressure of I need to like work 24/7. And that's where the whole shift has started for me, being like, okay, what exactly does that look like? Because I still want to be there for my kid. I want to homeschool eventually. I want to do all these things, but I'm still new to being a mom. So
yeah. And something else for everybody to think about is you're all going to eventually hit a crossroads and that's where I'm at now. And it's so funny because I like God taps on my shoulder all the time and is like, why are you crying? You literally prayed for the opportunity when your education business was going to be 90% of what you're doing. I gave that to you. That's exactly what you asked for. And I'm over here crying in a corner because I'm like, why is everyone booking all of these up and coming photographers and like not coming to me anymore? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's because I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to bend over backwards. I'm not going to lower my prices. I'm not going to, yeah. And so, and I still enjoy photography too. And that's the thing. it's not like there's going to be a day where y'all wake up and all of a sudden you don't like photography anymore. That, unfortunately, that's how we were created. And fortunately, like, that's how you're created. It is literally in your DNA, and it's part of who you are as an artist and a person. And so that day is never going to come. But what you really, I think what's helpful to ask everybody, or to ponder on, especially because that's kind of what you're wrestling with, is, what do I want it to look like? What's the percentage? What's the balance? Do I want it 50-50? Because at one point in time I did, I truly wanted 50-50. And I think I had 50-50 for like a year or so before I started like really pushing education. And then it started tipping the scale. And so I would just ask yourself, and there may be a day when you're like, well, during this season, it just makes more sense for me not to do the actual photography. Like maybe you just do occasional, maybe one monthly shootout, one quarterly shootout, something like that, to fuel your own fire, but to turn around and like maybe you're more education focused. So at some point you guys will wrestle with this too, of like, what do I do more of? What do I, you know what I mean? And they can always change. They can always change. You can always pick photography back up again if you're like, okay, I'm a little burnt out on this, I want to do something different. Here comes Jayla. Okay, so yeah, so anyway, so there's that. And then Marina, when you and I talk one-on-one, I will we'll dive in. I have a course idea for you, a good starting point that will get you some passive income and let you kind of like feel that out. And then we can talk about the rest of it and like really like what's good for Marina in this season. And we'll talk about that too whenever we get on our one-on-one. So any other pressing thing right now other than that?
No, this was therapy for me.
I love it. I love a good therapy session. Awesome. Okay, well, Jayla, you came in at the perfect timing. We're basically,
I was like, I'm probably just gonna be like a fly on the wall today.
no, you're good. Well, now you're in the spotlight. We basically went through, and any pressing questions that you have, anything that you want me to really answer for you here, and then where you're at in your creation process with whatever it is that you're creating. So just kind of catch us up to date.
Yeah. So I originally was leaning towards like group coaching, but I think just within the last couple of days, I thought about it and I was like, I think I should just start with one-on-ones, especially until it's like up and going and can be more of a group type thing. And then I think my big thing is going to be teaching people how to attract their ideal clients and making a profit doing so. So I really want people to realize that like I guess I'm going to target photographers that are doing it all and teach them how picking your niche really makes a huge difference. So really it'll get into like, I'm already working on modules and everything, and I just got to do some of the recordings, but I'm going to do, I did Thrivecart. So I'm working on modules through there. And like, it starts with first, like finding your voice, and then how your why, your voice, how that really is your brand. Your brand's not your colors and your logo and all those things. Like, it's so much more. So really establishing who you are, not being scared to show yourself, you know, get out there. I know some people aren't in love with social media. Social media has been a game changer for my business. So I really want to help photographers leverage that and how to use it. Cause I remember when I started Instagram, I hated it. And now that's my #1 booking source.
You and Marina are like Twinkies. We've got 50% of the room who's like, yeah. And we got the other 50% and we're like, throw that crap in the trash.
Yeah.
So
I was literally gonna say, I feel like you and I are the same person right now.
Yeah. I do want to do podcasts. At first, when we watched the YouTube one, we did that. I was leaning towards that, but I am not the kind of person to get ready and like put on a production. That's just not me. And so, but when I rewatched that podcast one, I was like sold. I think my biggest thing with that, my question with that is, I'm a talker. And so how to talk and not give them everything.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah. That is the #1 podcast question. In fact, I think Stephanie answers this in PPU, or at least she says it on one of her podcast episodes. But here's the thing. you want to think of your podcast episodes. And again, the more I go through my own podcasting journey, the more I'm like, oh, pros, cons, wish I wouldn't have done that. Should have focused more on that. So the best way, especially because what a lot of us teach are really heavy topics or tactical or like, bite size. You're wanting to give them bite size, one win. All they need is one win, one takeaway, one thing to go do right now. It could be a mindset shift. It could be a, hey, today in this episode, I'm going to teach you how to write an Instagram bio that's actually going to get people to say, hey, I need to stay around. Like I need to click follow. Okay. One thing. And I really would encourage you guys to keep your podcast 20 minutes or less when you're teaching something, because people will sometimes listen to it twice. And I'm learning because you guys are now talking to me like, hey, in your podcast, it took me 6 days to listen to your 45-minute episode. And I'm like, oh no, like, no. Right. So now I'm like 12 minutes here, 16 minutes here, and people are loving it. And there's higher downloads on those because they're able to get it, implement it, move on. So unless it's an interview, those are really hard to cut down. It is what it is, whatever. Pause it, come back. Bite size. Okay. Here's the thing. Yes, you will get people who binge your podcast and listen to everything you have to offer. I'm one of those people. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, but it doesn't keep me from buying what you have. What people want is convenience. They want more of you. And so when they buy your course, they're really looking to get more of you. They're looking to get the deep dive all in one place, not just one bite-sized piece of information. And then also you just have to you'll learn. There's some things like, I never want you guys to hold back and think, oh, I could only talk about this to my paid people. And hopefully my Blueprint students do see the difference. Like I might scratch the surface with the topic to get people's wheels spinning, but I'm never going to give them the in-depth personalized feedback that other people are getting in the program. That's the difference. And so again, you just want to scratch the surface. So it might be in there. You want to teach really on the why and the what, and then leave the how for those one-on-ones. And I know y'all have heard that before. So I'm just here to repeat that. And occasionally, I'll teach a how on the podcast, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. And so, yeah, so don't get into that mindset. But again, bite size, one quick takeaway, boom, get them ready for the next episode that you're going to have. And you just kind of bounce between your different pillars. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of branding, a lot of niching, and a lot of social media. Those are your 3 buckets. So you're going to do one thing and you're just going to rotate all 3 buckets every time, every single time. That's all you're doing. And something too, if you guys are going to be ever coaching, so you guys have listened to my live coaching episodes, we're doing way more of those because those were the top downloaded episodes. People love it. They get addicted to it. And then they're like, I want her to coach me. And so then they come to you and they want to buy your mentorship. They want to do one-on-one with you, or again, buy your course. So if you're not offering coaching, at least they could get into your student community and post a question and get you to answer back. That's what people are looking for. So what I would do is maybe for your mentorship, something to think about in the future, you always want to record them. And then you want to take one piece of that mentorship, again, one bite-sized thing that you went over that gave them a light bulb moment, and air it on your podcast, obviously with their permission. And then it's cool because they got showcased, their business got a shout out, but at the same time, people are like, this is what it sounds like to coach with Jayla. That is awesome. I want that. And then that's what makes them kind of convert over into your paid things.
Awesome.
Yay. And guys, I really want to teach podcasting, and I haven't told Steph this yet, but I really want to teach photographers how to have podcasts, which she, I'm sure, would give me a high five and tell me to roll with it. But it is so fun. It is so fun. So.
Because that's a different niche too.
Yeah, I know. I know. Anyway, that's all. We'll get there when we get there. But I was going to say for Marina and Jayla, because you guys both really do enjoy Instagram and you enjoy reels, you want to start doing reels that tease your episodes, and that your new call to action is go to my podcast and you're going to get my 3 steps. Or here's the first thing I'm talking about today. For the other 2, or for how to actually implement this, go listen to my episode. So that's something else. Now that I have a studio, I'm hoping I can get back into being fun and doing reels. No promises, but it'd be cool. I mean, why not? I have the space. You might as well implement it, use it. So yeah. What else, Jayla? Because that was a lot of podcasting.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Cause that was my big one. Even when I was making like my low ticket offer and my freebie, I was like, I'm giving everything away. Like I have a hard time not elaborating, I guess, and making sure. But yeah, just when you said, you know, the why and the what and the how comes from working with me, I really like that.
It's also kind of like when you go to the mall and the food court and they used to have samples pre-COVID, I guess, pre-pandemic. I don't even know that they do that anymore. We also don't have a mall, so I really don't know. But anyway, how they give you that little sampler and you're like, oh my gosh, it was just enough to make you hungry, just enough to make you want to go buy like the whole thing. That is what you're doing when you're podcasting or when you're doing bite-sized videos or social media posts. It should always be something that leaves them wanting, like they want more. And that's how you get people to binge your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with that one-on-one mentorship, or even if I did bring it into coaching, really elaborating, like you're getting dedicated time to you and your business. So that is, you know, your unique problems. We're going to address those where you're not going to get that just listening or downloading this little freebie of how to do some posing or something. So
exactly. Yeah. And if you listen to this replay from back when I was talking to Amanda, we covered some of this podcast stuff too. And there's some really good tips in there for you as well. So
awesome.
Okay, so we're down to the wire and I want to make sure you're all here. We have two invitations. One is if you guys are like, okay, this was awesome, but I really just want I need the accountability. I know I won't get the rest of the stuff done. I know I won't do that podcast without you. Then send me a DM anywhere we talk. We've all talked privately. So just go back to one of our threads. Let me know that you're interested and I'll send you over some options. If you want to do that, it'll be one-on-one coaching, not group. So you're really going to get all of me, all of you in your business. So that's invitation number one. Just let me know. I'll make a little paper for you guys so you can just like read through your options. And then the second thing is, so I am launching a new membership called Shoot with Confidence. And it's going to be for that photographer that is not confident really with anything, but specifically the technical side of their business. They're still, you know what I'm talking about? Like when I was first starting, I had to have Pinterest right here or screenshots on my phone. And I would be like, okay, can y'all do this? Okay, cool. Let's try that. And there was just like no confidence in anything I was doing. So I'm going to be teaching them like styling, client closet, posing, prompting, really taking them behind the scenes to different shoots just to show them like, what do you do? Like last night with the 2-year-old who was like, I don't want my picture taken. And her mom's like, I just spent hundreds of dollars on your session. And, you know, like, what do you do? So this is what people can't get enough of, and also what they need, right? Like you need to be confident at your sessions, or how are you ever going to get to upsells? You need to be confident in, you know, what you're saying or what you're getting in your camera, or no one's going to pay those prices that you so desperately need to make. And that's like the missing link I've seen after being in the blueprint for so long. So anyway, so we're going to do that. It's a monthly membership for people. But what I want to invite you guys is, I don't want to be the only teacher. I want to bring actual photographers in to touch on, again, one bite-sized training of something that you're planning on teaching in a course or a mentorship, anything. And you could take us along your, like you literally could get your husband, your best friend, I don't care who it is, to go live on your phone. And I don't want this to be edited. I don't want this to be like your courses where you're really like putting in like I want this to be like, it's like you're a fly on the wall at my session and I'm going to show you how I do it. Or like Jayla, your styling sessions, like you could take somebody behind the scenes and be like, here's how we do fittings. Here's how we actually like do things. So all of that being said, it could be over any topic that you want to teach on. It could be over any niche of photography. People are just curious. That's what people love. We still love it, right? I love watching photographers do their thing because we're never the same. So all that being said, this kicks off in June. So I am looking for a speaker for June, July, August, and September. So if y'all want to do that, I hope you will, because I really don't want to have to go ask a bunch of people. And I think this will give you guys a little boost in your confidence of like, hey, this is who I am. Here's my business. Today, we're specifically going to talk about this thing. I just thought it'd be fun, like good opportunity for you guys to get some exposure, some practice, and kind of get photographers that are like, oh my God, I love her. Right. So if y'all want to do that, let me know and we can start assigning, and you guys can let me know, like, here's my top 2 topics. Tell me what you want me to do and let's do it. That's what we're going to do. So yay.
Love
Okay.
it.
Who's not good with that? Maybe I'll ask it that way. Is anybody like, I'm not teaching in your membership? Okay, good.
So-
Yay. Okay, awesome.
I feel like
Well,
we're all
does
here
anybody-
for that. So it's
Like-
a perfect opportunity.
Please.
I love it. Does anybody want to do June? I got to get a calendar made. So,
I
so
can't,
yeah,
I have
in
surgery.
June?
Oh,
You're
yeah, I
having
would.
surgery?
June.
Okay, so June, Brittany.
Sure.
Okay,
In it.
who wants July?
How early in July?
It can be any time in July. These won't be set dates. They'll be based on your calendars. So not mine.
Okay. I'll do July.
Okay, cool. Marina, do you want August or September?
August, fine.
Okay, and then Amanda, do you want to do September, or do you want me
Sure.
to follow up with you and see how you're doing?
No, I can do September.
You'll be good?
Unless something happens today at my appointment, I'm supposed to have surgery June 28th regardless, unless
Okay.
they move it up. So the further off, probably the better.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, I will pencil you guys in for that. And then, so just to wrap us all up and then we can all hop off, DM me if you, first of all, I need you, I have 3 things for you. I need you to DM me your physical mailing address. I need that from you. I'm making a list too, so I can keep up with this. The second thing is if you want information on one-on-one coaching, that's great. My feelings will not be hurt if you guys are like, I've got a lot to do right now. Is not the time. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And then the third thing would be, what are your 2 topics that you would love to come in and teach these photographers? And remember, these are going to be people who are probably either just starting out, or maybe they've done it for a year. They still
Uh-oh.
just don't feel, they don't have anything.
No.
I love
Yeah.
how it froze. Froze
I need to
real
screenshot
good.
this.
Like that face.
Oh no.
Poor
my
girl,
gosh,
we're
I
all
love it.
laughing at her.
You're
Am I
back.
back?
Yes. I took
Okay,
a
what was-
screenshot so you could see it.
Oh my God, y'all are rude. Okay, anyway, what did I say last?
Just starting out.
That's basically all I said. I said just starting out or not confident at anything that they're doing. Okay. All right, perfect.
One question on the 2 topics. So like if I did do something like the styling, I am an ultimate hot mess express. So you said like no editing, but does that just look good? Like I can explain to people, like you don't have to be perfectly put together and like.
That's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically it would be like, hey, I just want to show you, like, I have a family session or whatever again, it doesn't matter what it is, but like, here's how I style. This is my style of photography. Here's how I select wardrobe for this particular thing. If, like, and then maybe it's just like, here's an example of an actual mom I just got done speaking with. Here's what I picked out. Here was her feedback. Here's the changes we made, whatever. And then also keep in mind, we will give some time for like a Q&A. So you have a choice, okay? If this is something, so like, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So a lot of the locations I shoot at, there is no internet signal at all. So like I couldn't go live if I wanted to. Okay. So sometimes that's a legitimate thing. So those will be pre-recorded, but there won't be it'll be like raw footage. Like, hey, so-and-so follow me around the whole freaking time. Don't press stop till we're done. And then I would post it at a later time. But what I would do is I would get questions before. So like, what questions do you have specifically? And then I'll try to think about those and talk about them as I'm doing it. Or if you are live and you're like, hey, they're actually going to leave once we're done with the styling thing, or you know, they can start recording toward the beginning of the session and then we're going to go take a break, whatever, I don't know, but where you guys could answer like live questions. So there will be a Q&A. You just need to tell me, do you want questions beforehand, or are you going to be available to do a live Q&A? That's the only other thing I was going to say. And you guys are welcome to come back to and just answer their questions back and forth in the thread if you need to. So yeah.
How are you delivering this?
It will be in a Facebook group, and then yeah, it'll mainly be Facebook, but they'll also get a portal and Thrivecart. And so that's where we'll put like all the recorded stuff. But yeah, I think it'll be good. My team was like, I have never heard of this. And I know similar things exist, but not necessarily in the style that we're giving it per se. And so it's also going to be a place where like, if they have questions like, hey, I have this session on Saturday, it's supposed to be super cloudy, like what are my settings? I want them to have that place where they're guaranteed to get an answer. And so that's kind of what the membership is for, to where they could say, hey, like here's how my photo turned out, I wish it was a little more warm and golden, what are your tips, how can I achieve that, like those kinds of things. So yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
Well,
Okay,
watching.
awesome.
Thank you for letting me hop on.
Thank you for hopping on. I'm so glad we didn't miss you. I love it. Okay, well, you guys know where to find me. I'll be waiting on your messages later today, just whenever you guys get a chance. And I'm going to go check on my kids because they've been running around this whole time. So, yay.
Okay.
All right.